I'm going to share my presentation that I have prepared to just kind of take you through our story. But to give you a little bit of a background, my son, Aiden, who is currently 17 years old, he'll be 18 in December. He is in the last year of high school currently, and he's looking forward to future in college. And so we started out with him noticing some differences in learning in first grade. What was puzzling to us is that he's extremely intelligent, as I'm sure all of you are aware. Dyslexics are very intelligent, very outside of the box thinkers. And so I just couldn't figure out for the longest time why was it so difficult for him to remember to spell three, four-letter words, but he can tell you all the names of all cars and where they're manufactured and, just crazy facts that just nothing was matching the reality. And so first grade was extremely difficult for us. We were just struggling through homework, struggling through learning for, school exams and tests, struggling through the spelling lists. The longer the time passed, the longer the lists of spelling words became, so that became harder. We would spend hours and hours every day studying at home. I'll get frustrated. He would get frustrated. He would cry. I'll cry. And it was just a complete nightmare. I started slowly trying to figure out what was going on because I knew something was not right. And during that time, I would pick him up from school, and he would just come in the car and start crying and saying, "Mom, I'm just stupid. I'm not like the other kids. I can't learn like they can, and I just don't know anything. I can't read like they can," which was breaking my heart at the same time. So, um, as a what we call here mama bear, I decided to figure out, okay, how can I help my son learn? And throughout the course of the year, I was just reading online what I can. And towards the end of first grade, I remember that one of my nephews actually was dyslexic. And I didn't even know what it was. And so I decided to look it up and what it actually was. And so I saw the symptoms and the signs of it. And so I was just doing check marks next to each one. And so this big light bulb came into my mind, and I knew at that point that he was dyslexic. So what I did was I went to one of his teachers, and she was very into reading and teaching kids to read, and she was a great reading teacher. So I went to her and asked her to read with him and tell me what she thinks. And so she did, and she confirmed, that he was dyslexic. And from then on, she connected me to a local church that was doing tutoring at that time. And luckily, it was very close to our house. So he immediately started tutoring towards the end of first grade. So he was tutoring twice a week. Yeah, I think twice a week for about an hour each time. But in the meantime, his first grade teacher was not very helpful, to say the least, when we were trying to figure out what is wrong. And she was, saying that he was, hyper, had ADHD and had this disorders and learning things, and he was disruptive in a classroom and all these things. When in actuality, he was one, bored, and two, he was having trouble learning the way they were teaching him. So she was not helpful. And so once I figured out he was dyslexic, I reached out to her and I was just very happy to tell her, "Hey, we figured it out. This is what's happening." And her response was, "I don't have time to give individual instruction to any kid." And so that was her response. So I was like, okay, this year was over. She was not going to be his teacher anymore. And that didn't matter. We were just going to push forward. So he tutored during the summers, during the school years, and fourth grade, I decided we were going to move him to a completely different school because going to middle school, the middle school was not recognizing dyslexia. So they were just going to put him in a special ed class with kids with different needs and different ages, and he was never going to learn. So I started looking around and I found a school which was about 30 minutes away from our house. Luckily, again, somewhat close, and they had a dyslexia program. So we had to test him officially and have him, and we enrolled him there. And so he had to move schools, which was, again, a difficult transition for him in the beginning, but he, found his space there. And then the program lasted through seventh grade. He graduated that dyslexia program, and then he asked to come back to public school and back where he started. And so I told him if he showed us the next year that he can do it on his own, then we'll move him back. And so he worked really hard in eighth grade to do everything on his own and in mainstream classrooms, and he did great. So we moved him back, and he started public school in ninth grade. And as I mentioned, now he is a senior in high school, and he's looking forward to going to college next year. This whole thing was not always supported by the school system. And once we figured out that he had dyslexia, I had to kind of fight for him to have certain accommodations in school, which here is given by law to kids that need it. And so the school was not helpful in that situation. They were trying to push back. They were trying to say he didn't need it. They were trying to say that they will accommodate him, but he didn't need specific paperwork to make it official. So I fought to have the paperwork, the official status, the official accommodations, because nobody could guarantee me that that same staff was going to stay for the life of his education um, in this school. And so we had to kind of fight through the system, which in turn actually prompted the principal and the staff, the teachers at that time, to actually create a tutoring program for kids that were struggling with reading in that particular school. So they're still continuing that program to this day, several years later, and they have, I think, four reading coaches at the moment, and each one is servicing about, I think, 40 kids a day. So we have a lot of kids receiving help because of us kind of giving a voice to those children. And many parents don't know how to go about it. They don't know how to address it. They don't know how to fight for their children. They don't know about dyslexia. So sadly, many would just brush it off and let kids go through school without getting the proper help. But others have reached out to me to try to figure out how they can get for the help for their kids that I got for mine. And so I try to coach them through that. But this is our quick background. So I'll give you a little bit more details of how we got here. So one of the most important things is even received a question recently, how do I talk to my child about dyslexia and telling them, you have dyslexia. Many schools approach it as a, a disease, a physical, mental disease, or a learning disability, or just something in a negative light, which I was framing it that way in the beginning as well. I was asking myself, why my child? Why does it happen to us? Why is it so difficult for him? And so one day I just decided that we are going through this so that we can help other children and other families and give a good future to those that are struggling. Because nowadays I'm figuring out how many adults have grown up with dyslexia without any help and they still struggle in life. But what is most important to me for everybody to understand is that dyslexia is a positive quality in every person. And honestly, I wish I was dyslexic so that I can think the way they do. This is, I just put this up here, but it is not a disease or indefinite, identifiable physical condition, but it's a learning style. So our children are different, but they're not different in any negative way. They are different in the way they learn, and that doesn't make them any less than anybody else. Many school systems determine that this is how our children need to learn, but that comes from some office, from somebody that has no idea what different learning styles there are out there. And I believe and I hope that that changes one day. And they're allowing children to learn in their individual way because all of us learn differently and all of us are good at different things. Dyslexics are outside of the box thinkers. They're extremely intelligent. And if you look it up, and I'm sure some of you have on the internet, you will find out how many famous people that have really truly changed the world, like Steve Jobs, for example, or Richard Branson, are dyslexics. Some of our idol actors, for example, Harry Potter, the main character in Harry Potter, he's also dyslexic and he has dysgraphia and dyscalculia and all that, all that comes with it. But that doesn't stop him from being an amazing actor, from reading, for remembering, from memorizing, and living his best life. So if I can change one thing today, that is the mindset of what dyslexia actually is. Um, so it was estimated back in the day. I haven't quite delved into it lately, but that 1 in 5 individuals actually have dyslexia, which is quite a lot if you think about it. And that is why it's very important for us to change the way we teach children, so that they can grow up to be the best they can and believe in themselves and not struggle with their self-esteem like my son had to. So it's also important that we know what the signs are and that we spread the word, spread the awareness of what those could be. Because what I found out when I was going through this with my son is that the teachers had no idea what dyslexia was. So they immediately pinged labels to him that didn't belong to him. And he started believing them as well. And that was very detrimental to his self-esteem at the time and took us years to get it back up. And in some ways, I still feel like that he feels a bit less than others because of it. But for the most part, nowadays, he just makes fun of it, makes jokes about it, and just points it out and says, "Oh, I just had a dyslexia moment." But um, there are many lists online, and you can see what those not symptoms, but signs are. And they're often the ones to solve the problem because they're extremely smart. They see things that we don't see normally. They make connection between facts that we normally wouldn't. But at the same time, they read slowly and with great effort. They have difficulty spelling, have a messy handwriting. My son still writes like a fifth grader. I don't know. Are you able to see me still, or just the
Yes,
person?
we can see your screen. We can see your screen.
Okay, maybe I can share this with you later, but I have he recently gave me a birthday card, so I'll show you his handwriting once we're done, so just you can see it in a bigger screen. But your writing shows terrific imagination, so they're able to tell stories because their imagination is very rich. They have trouble remembering dates, names, short spelling words. I mentioned they think outside the box. Get the big picture. They're very driven, but they have difficulty retrieving, pronouncing words, have excellent vocabulary. If they hear the words, they can remember them. Reading them for them is the hard part. They have excellent ideas. They don't want to read out loud because they're afraid that they'll make a mistake. Um, they have difficulty organizing ideas or writing them down as well, but they have extremely strong thinking and reasoning skills. Just, watch me when I have to fight with him. He can always kind of win that fight. So he's very good at that. I always tell him he needs to be an attorney because he can take any word and make it fit his situation. So he's very good at that. So my son, he's the one on the right. That was when he was going to that church tutoring program. And they were at the time they were teaching them the Susan Barton system. And this was a celebration that I did for them, for him and his friend, when they finished one of the big books. So we always turned it into a very positive experience and just really encouraging to them and showing them that learning is not scary and that we're here to help them and support them in any way we can. Some things you can do is nowadays there are so many different ways we can help them to learn or to be a part of the same world their peers are. There's a lot on the internet, it's specifically for websites. There are disability, I want to say, modes of seeing the screens. They have dyslexia specific fonts. One of the things, he's always been a big Harry Potter fan. And so when this last book came out, they printed it in large print for dyslexics. And that was the actual manuscript, which made it much easier for him to read it by himself. Up until that point, I had to read those books to him, or he was using audiobooks, which he was very into audiobooks there for a few years. And he would just go through 20 book series in no time. And that was one of his main things that he loved doing. Since then, he's kind of fallen off that wagon, but if he wanted to read stuff, there are different ways that he can have access to things that are easier for him to read. Uh, we tried many different things when he was going to school. I tried different colored pages, so I'll print things on for him on colored pages. I had little plastic transparent see-through lines that you can put on a text in the book, so that kind of um, separated the words in the sentences and passages for him. I used to make paper with squares in it, different sizes and different thickness of the square, just so he can write within that square, so his writing could be a bit more organized. So there are many different things you can do. Those are just a few that we tried, but we tried a lot. So just never stop trying to see what works for you if you're struggling with dyslexia, or for your child, or if it's for a student. So slowly, as the school, this was elementary school for him. When the school started accepting the fact that we weren't giving up on our child, they started supporting us as well. And so he actually won a science fair award with his teacher on the left-hand side. And so it shows the how important it is, the relationship between um, us, the parents, and our children, and also how important it is for the educators to support us through this process. In the middle, this is our mayor who came to support the award ceremony as well. So my son got to be close to him, talk to him. And on the very right-hand side, the kid that was afraid of reading in front of people and was mortified to be called to reading class was actually volunteering to reading class for his peers. So what does dyslexia and Jurassic Park have in common? Probably nothing you would think. But well, what we have in common is the professor in Jurassic Park, John Horner, who is actually Jack Horner, and he's a paleontologist, one of the most famous ones. And Jurassic Park was created after his real life character. He has consulted on Jurassic Park and on Star Wars movies. And why I'm saying this is because when my son was younger, he wanted to be a paleontologist before he could even say the word. And so this was very important. Dinosaurs was what he was living and breathing for. So we had all the dinosaur books. We went fossil hunting in our area. We did everything dinosaur. And so I was listening to a book about dyslexia, and they mentioned about Jack Horner in there and how he was severely dyslexic all of his life. And he has failed college 7 times, and he currently holds a honorary doctorate degree from Montana, University of Montana. That is because of his contribution to the science of paleontology and the thing he's accomplished. So when I heard that, I told my son about him, and so I went ahead and wrote him and asked him, could you please maybe write something encouraging to my son? He's struggling with dyslexia and he needs a little bit more motivation. So he did write him, he didn't only write back, but he sent him a video, which I had to find somewhere, but and maybe I can share it with you sometime. But he was telling him about some things that he was doing to overcome dyslexia in life, but also encouraged him to know that he can be whatever he wants to be despite, or not only despite, but because of dyslexia and use it to his advantage. And so that's what we did. So actually, my son and him kept in touch for a while. And one day I took my son on a trip because he had a very tough year at school. I had contacted Mr. Horner and asked him if he would meet us. I never told my son, so we went all the way to California. And my son thought we were meeting a friend of ours, and he kind of looked back and saw Jack Horner walking towards him and kind of did a double take and just couldn't believe his eyes. Um, so I encourage you to look up Jack Horner's story. It's pretty remarkable, and he stayed with us for 2, 3 hours just talking to Aiden, and he's in his 70s, and he still has trouble reading, but that hasn't stopped him to live his life to the fullest. So the moral of this story is what I'm trying to say is that we need to connect our children to their heroes that may be dyslexics or show them how they can be the best they can in life, not despite of, but because of dyslexia. Another thing that we did was there's a book called The Most Unlikely to Succeed, which I have right here. It's a great read if you're able to get it. It talks about a kid years ago, back in the day, going through the school system as a dyslexic child. Nobody understood what that was. They only just decided he has problems. So he decided to use it to just be the bad kid and get a different type of attention rather than being the dumb kid. So what we did was this is the author here, Nelson Lover, who actually we raised money to invite to come and speak in our area to educators, principals, superintendents, college education students, and so on. So to do that, we hosted a color run. The college students actually in marketing class helped us uh, put it together, raise the money. His tutor was there, his friends were there, our whole family was there, and the whole area supported us in raising money and awareness for dyslexia. So Nelson Lover visited the school, talked to the educators. This is actually the teacher that helped me identify that Aiden was dyslexic. And so we created a whole event around that. He even stayed in one of the instructional classes for reading to kind of monitor something that he wished he had when he was in school. During that time, we also brought awareness through media. We had um, a crew came from the TV station to film us. There is an interview out on the internet as well with me and the kids. This is Aiden with his friend Sydney, who is even more dyslexic than he is. There were articles in the media, and we really tried to spread the word. We also, together, me and him, participated in legislation, which was giving opportunity for kids legally to get the help they needed in schools, in the Alabama school system, which is where we are. He was there with me. We spoke to the crowd and made our case. He was encouraged by representatives. I'm sorry. So I've always made sure that he is a part of his own journey and showing him that he can make a difference, not only in his life, but in the life of others. So that's what we did. This is him with Governor Kay Ivey, which is the governor of Alabama, when she was signing the law into signing the proposition into a law. Um, this was his big day. It was in May of 2020, which was COVID time. And so they didn't have a graduation ceremony for them, unfortunately, but we had to just grab his certificate as a drive-through, basically. But that was him graduating the dyslexia program in the private school that he went to for a few years. And now he has multiple college offers um, for academics at that. There is a test here called the ACT, which is not a great test in my opinion, but it has different sections, which are math, science, reading, English, and so on. And I think the highest you can have is 36 in each section. And in reading, he had a 31. So um, he and another kid were the only ones in school with a score like this in the whole school. And a little funny note, don't worry, my dyslexic kid will create a job for your honor roll kid. So it's not all about being great in grades at school or writing beautifully or reading out loud without any mistakes. It's about supporting their creativity, their minds, the people who they are, creating good people, and just motivating them to follow their dreams. So that's in a nutshell, and I apologize.
It's okay, Mariana. You have done quite a lot for the change that we badly need as a community.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
So I wanted to
we are.
share with you real quick. This is his handwriting in fifth grade, and this is his handwriting last week. So he's in 12th grade right now. So nothing has changed much. And this is the best handwriting he has currently. So for those of you whose children are struggling with their handwriting, it doesn't get any better. But maybe if you put in an additional effort, it could get a little bit better. But I was talking to the lady that just recently had to retest him again because the colleges were requiring it to get accommodations. I asked her, should we do something more about his writing? She said, don't worry about it. Nowadays with digital,
Mhm.
opportunities, they don't really need it. So just focus on learning and just let him go through life that way. And if he decides one day he wants to learn to write better, he can. But I just wanted to share that with you.
Wow, wow. You're a heroine, Mariana. I'm sure we are all amazed at what you have done to bring the change that we badly need. But you know what, Mariana, what stood out for me is many a times we think we struggle because we are in Africa where the awareness is so low. It just amazes me that you also struggle. You're in the US, right?
I'm in the US, but I should tell you, I'm originally from Bulgaria. So I am the foreigner here. And so that additionally adds to my difficulties in trying to spread word that people believe in. But yeah, so I have struggled being heard. So I understand how difficult it is for you as well. But it's not impossible, is what I'm here to tell you.
I believe you. I believe you. There are
Yeah.
amazing comments on the chat board, and there is just I'm going to pick just a few. One educator here says it's sad that parents have to fight for that, even fight for their children and accommodations.
Yeah.
Even when it's in the law, sometimes it's in the law, but no one is practicing what the law says. So the parents have to go out of their way to fight for their children, eh?
Yeah.
And there's also another comment here from Onesmo, who happens to be the founder and CEO of Mental Health Tanzania. You can all agree the very close link we have between dyslexia and mental health. We always have breakdowns, we always have struggles. Psychologically, the children can be tortured, the parents are affected. So we have a collaboration with Mental Health Tanzania. So he's here, he has picked a point saying, if I can change something today, would be the mindset about dyslexia. This is very strong, dear Maria. This is one of the comments you made.
Yes.
Okay, so
We had to
so
change
thank you.
the mindset for ourselves before we can change it for others. And I have always tried to paint it in a positive way because it is a positive trait. And I see we have some raised hands too, so I want to make sure that we answer their questions.
Yes, we will go to the hands. I just wanted to pick the comments on the chat before we
Sure.
go to the people who've raised their hands. So, Elizabeth is an educator and is saying if you could share some of the websites you mentioned, the materials you mentioned, like here, specific fonts, bigger fonts, audiobooks. If you could share some of these resources with us, we will be grateful.
Okay.
And also there's someone, wow, see how much can change with support. So of course, with your journey, you have helped your son and a lot has changed already. So it's amazing. So, and okay. Nsape says, with the use of pictures, your presentation is even more beautiful and connects more with us, Mariana. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. You know, Mariana, you've touched our lives. So we've picked a point as well. Connect children with to their heroes, like the way you did to connect your son to the person and the hero that he really admires. And also, it's well, Mariana. Yeah, this is from Teacher Upendo. Upendo is a literacy expert who really tries to help our community. She shares videos on her social media on how to help children with dyslexia. Upendo, we are happy to have you in our midst tonight. Wow, thank you, Mariana. I'm inspired. You have done well. Thank you, Teacher Upendo. Fatma says, so proud of you, Mariana. You changed a challenge to a strength. Aqual says, superhero in the house. We need more mothers of your kind. And Fatma is also a parent of a dyslexic son, actually. So these struggles cut across the boundaries. Phoebe is saying, proud of you, Mariana. We do need more mothers of your kind who help and assist their children during difficult times as they learn. And last comment from Elizabeth says, we will need to have Teacher Upendo's social media pages. Teacher Upendo, please, can you share your social media pages on the platform? And Teacher Upendo is also in our support group, the WhatsApp group. So Teacher Upendo, please just feel free to share your social media handles so that people can continue learning from you as well. Teacher Upendo is very good with content. She shares content like every day. So there's a lot to learn from Teacher Upendo. Biza is saying your journey is very inspiring. Keep up the good work. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Teacher Upendo says she will share the handles in the group. So thank you. That's the end of the comments. I'm going to take hands now. And I see a hand from iPhone. iPhone is Anna Mwasioke. She's a media personality, one of the senior media personalities we have, and we are glad to have her in our midst. And always as part of our Dyslexia Tanzania team, she's an ambassador, spreading word out there. You know the strength of the media. So
Oh, yeah.
Anna Mwasioke, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Caldence. Thank you so much, Mariana. I also had mixed feelings when you were presenting such an inspiring presentation. I really want to hear your experience in America of awareness with dyslexia because I know we have a lot to learn. I want to know the struggles. I want to know the efforts of making awareness to people who have dyslexic kids or to dyslexic people in general. I also want to hear from you. The I've heard you. I've seen you crying. It means you had difficult days, but I want to hear experience of those good golden days, so that we can also be inspired as people who are ambassadors of dyslexia and want to know and learn more about dyslexia. Thank you so much. That's all that I have for today.
Thank you for your questions and for being here and supporting this important cause. Awareness in the States is just now picking up in recent years. It wasn't the case when I first started out. And so what I found out was the best way to raise awareness was really having parents who were advocates for their children and educators who are advocates for children as well. But also having specific speakers on the topic has helped us a lot, especially in our area when we hosted Nelson Lover, because his own story and his mission in life is to spread awareness and to make sure that no child has to go through what he went through. Um, it is a very inspiring story. I recommend that you look into it. He is a speaker, so he has some videos on YouTube, which may give you some more ideas of what educational system has gone through here. Nowadays, I feel like awareness is a bit better. There are laws that support children with dyslexia and provide accommodations for them in schools and colleges. We recently had to get my son officially tested once again because his previous testing was kind of old. He is still dyslexic because you don't get over it, you just learn to live with it. But that document helps him get accommodations in college now. So he is dual enrolled in college, which means he's taking high school classes and he's taking two college classes, one of which is English, and he's taking it online all by himself, which will tell you how far he has come. Um, that is one of the golden moments. But yes, I think the awareness lies within parents and educators. No doubt about that. And then it was different organizations that were comprised by parents and educators that took it to the higher level into legislation and is still out there helping children and schools and school boards and so on. So we have to be the driving force behind it. Um, yes, it was very difficult to go through this. The most difficult part was seeing him go through it and the emotions that he was going through, the negative thoughts that he had of himself, and the lack of any belief in himself for the future. That was heartbreaking for me. And that's really what was my turning point in really flipping it upside down and making it into an absolute superpower for him and showing him that this is a positive trait and he can be anything in this world that he wanted to be. And he's actually, his passion is fishing. And so here there's competitive bass fishing. And so he is going to college to be on fishing team. And he's invited by the best team in the country. So he is living his best life. I hope this answers your questions.
Yes, it does, Mariana. But there's someone who has asked, there's a name you have recommended. What's the name of that person? Maybe if you can type it in the chat.
Which
The advocate, the one who
okay, yeah,
advocates
I will
for.
type it in the chat. It's the person that wrote the book, Nelson Lover. Uh, uh, his book is the most unlikely to succeed. Um, and this is the book that I was telling you I wanted to send you. So I will make sure it goes out with my people that are coming, so you can read it, but
Thank you.
maybe you can find it online as well. It is really inspiring story, and it does show it from a child's point of view of someone that has gone through the school system unsupported. Um,
Thank you. Thank you, Mariana. Congratulations, dear Mariana. You have done well. That's from Zainab. So I'm going to the second person who's raised their hand. And this, you're welcome, Dr. Vincent.
Yeah. Good evening or good morning, where people are.
yeah,
Mariana, thank you for the great presentation.
thank you.
And it was very well organized, planned, simple to understand, and easy to digest.
Thank
And it
you.
was experiential. So thank you for sharing such kind of information to the audience. Mine is just to add on to what you have said, because the shift is from seeing the ability. This is what I normally reinforce in this forum, that let us see the ability than the dis within the person, which you have really explained it today with a real life kind of experiential presentation. This is something that has really added a plus towards the disability studies, the forum and the stuff. I will also add on the social model from the medical perspective that disability is a disease. I liked the quote that you mentioned when you started your presentation. That was perfect, and it was an icebreaker. That it's not a matter of being called that is a disease. No, it's a strength in a child. So having identified that strength, it can make a child to excel, what we have seen from the experience of the child. So it's just shift from the medical perspective towards the social model of disability studies, which has also been reinforced with your presentation. This has been super, Mariana. I don't have questions, but I really like just to
Thank you.
applaud you for this great presentation. Thank you so
Thank
much.
I'm glad it's made a difference for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent. We have Elizabeth Wayua. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Good evening. I just want to thank you very much, first, Gaudens, for organizing this. On this call, we have some of my students. I am an educator at the African Leadership University. I'm extremely passionate about inclusion in education. Akwol is my student, Beza is my student, and we have other students here also. They are about 5, and they have missions in inclusion, and that's why we are asking about this information that we can look up, more resources that we can get, because in the country that we live in Rwanda, we actually have nothing at all. And many of the schools here, actually all the schools with for autistic children were started by parents who had autistic children. So some of my students and I would like to do more for inclusion, including for dyslexia. We are very happy to be here, and we are very happy to get all the resources that are provided, and everything that we have had, we'll try to put it in practice little by little, and also create awareness, just like the information that we have received. We are actually very grateful to be here. I don't have a question. I am very grateful to be here. Thank you very much for sharing with us your ideas and everything you have achieved. The things that you have done are nearly impossible for many things, and to have the ability to do all of those things in your lifetime, that is being a hero in itself. I've also noticed that many of the things are common. It doesn't matter what part of the world you are in, someone still has to be a serious advocate for their children as a parent. Someone still will face challenges being heard if you are a foreigner. I am a Kenyan living in Rwanda. Gaudens is a Kenyan living in Tanzania. You are a Bulgarian living in the US. So the things are common. I'm just surprised that someone still has to fight for their children in a first world country. I thought that is something that we in sub-Saharan Africa have to do, because I have seen from the conference we attended the struggles that Kenyans are facing. Kenyan parents with children with dyslexia are the same ones that we are facing here, and I can see the struggles are the world over. So thank you very much for sharing your ideas with us. We are going to look up everything that we get today and everything that we'll continue getting in the group so that we can start the journey in Rwanda, because these things are non-existent in this country. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for your kind words and for being here. And I'm also grateful to be, I'm honored to be able to share my story with you. What I can do is I can put a list of some of the things we've done and some ideas that I can share with Constance, and she can kind of share it with you. And I feel like that might be helpful, having it all in one place for you and your students to kind of dive into, and you never know where it will lead. Just like me listening to a book, learning about Jack Horner, the paleontologist, and then it all leading to all kinds of other ideas. So just one word can change a life, really. So, yes, and I will also share my contact information with Cordance, and she can share it with everybody. I'm happy to answer questions whenever, or just give you encouragement whenever you need it. I have no problem with that. I should preface also that Tanzania and its children and its people are very close and dear to my heart. I have done other projects to help children in Tanzania before that didn't have anything to do with dyslexia, but if I can contribute to your families and seeing your children grow and believing in themselves, then I'll do whatever I can to do that.
Thank you so much, Mariana. Elizabeth asked about assessment. In Rwanda, it seems to have no assessors. But Elizabeth, because you're aware of this, I believe you can start something yourself. I started from zero, and now, like the marathon, we are organizing a marathon, our season 2 marathon, as an awareness activity. And I have a whole team of experts coming to do assessment. This is an improvement from what we did last year. Last year, we didn't have an assessment done during marathon. So this year, we are excited to do an assessment during our marathon. It's not even a marathon, it's actually a run, because we are only doing 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and 2.5 kilometers. So if you're in Tanzania and you'd like to participate in any way, I know we have teachers, and we have teachers in our midst, and if you have children who have signs of dyslexia, take advantage. We have a group of experts coming to do assessments during our marathon, which will happen on 5th of October here in Arusha, Tanzania. So we welcome you to come and see and run support in any way and bring children to be assessed. So we will get there. Let's continue like Mariana started and is now doing quite well. Of course, it's a journey that will never come to an end per se. But at least where we are right now, Mariana, I believe where you are right now is not the same as where you started from. So it will be fine. I welcome any other comments or questions if there are any. I don't see a hand raised at the moment. I don't see a hand raised. Anybody who want to say something? The floor is open. Yes, Elizabeth, I see. I will try learn from the Kenya Assessment Center created by parents. We can create from there. Okay, Elizabeth. And I'm actually very proud of you, Elizabeth, for having welcomed your students. There's a training we are working on. Nothing is confirmed yet. If we succeed to have a training, we will invite all of you. I ask you, if you're not in our support group, it's much easier when you're there so that you can see all the information that we share, the links and the invitation to trainings. We normally do trainings and some are actually online. So there's a big training we are planning. If all goes well, just make sure you're in our support group so that you don't miss these nice things. Yeah, I'm going to put my number on the chat so that in case you're not in our support group, you can join so that you don't miss this information that we keep sharing every week. That's the number I've put in the chat box. I know there could be some people who are here for the first time. So we welcome you to join our support group. If you text me, you can just join the support group. I'm sure also my colleague, Mr. Nsape, must have shared some links. I'm going to just copy this message and paste it because there have been many messages. So I'm going to also copy here. You could click on that link and join the support group directly. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Thank you, Mariana, for your contacts. I see you've put your email and the WhatsApp contact. That's amazing. We are going to use them. People on the group, please just get the contacts of Mariana in case you need help. She's very kind. Ever since I met Mariana, I have learned quite a lot from her. She's just willing to help. So please just take advantage and get any help that you need from Mariana. I'm going to give Mariana some time to make your concluding remarks if you have any before we come to the end of this session. Mariana, welcome.
Thank you. I think in conclusion, what I would advise you to do is talk to your children and talk to your students about dyslexia, but talk to them in a positive way, encourage them to explore what excites them, what passions they have, what they like to learn about, and help them find other ways besides just reading that they can use to learn about the things that they love to do. And I also want to commend you, Elizabeth, for involving your students into their own journey. And this is what it's really about, empowering them to be the best that they can be and living their best lives. So we're just here to support them.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mariana. I just want to say that you're amazing. We have learned quite a lot from you. You just have no idea. I personally have learned a lot from you this evening. Thank you so much for your kindness. And as I always tell people in this platform, take advantage of these lessons. Invite as many people as possible. Imagine if we had 100 people listening to Mariana, how many lives we could have changed. Now our maximum, I think, has gone maybe 30 for those who have come in and left, 30 people. So imagine if we were 100. In our support group, we are more than 450. Imagine if we had more people than we had this evening. We could have reached so many lives. We could have changed so many lives. But anyway, those of us who have joined, we are the yeast of the community. Let us keep sharing, keep advocating. Welcome people to come for our marathon because we will have so many other sessions there, things to learn and how to support people with not only dyslexia, but also other challenges. It's an inclusive run. That's why we have 2.5 kilometers for those who are not very mobile. So we are welcoming them and giving them a chance to leave homes. Gone are the times parents used to hide children with challenges in their houses. It's so sad. There's a neighbor who lost a child and she was busy mourning, and her two children who don't have any physical challenges were playing, and we are like, who is this? Which child passed on? Just to discover that our neighbors lost a child that has never been let out of their house just because the child has physical challenges, some kind of impairment. So please let us keep spreading the word. You know much more than somebody who didn't attend this session. So thank you for joining. See you again next Tuesday. We have an amazing session coming up. Don't miss and welcome other people to join. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.